Inshiqaq is Amma. It's that surah number is 34. Okay. So, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Surah Inshiqaq. Inshiqaq comes from the word shaqqa. What does shaqqa mean? Shaqqa means what? To split, to tear apart, to split apart. Do you think the surah is Makki or Madani? Makki. Why do you think it's Makki? There's a good Juz Amma. Good, so that's the one thing. It deals with the year after, eschatology. Remember, Makki surahs are responding to what? To a Makki audience. A Makki audience is Mushrikun. What do the Makki audience contest or not believe in? They don't believe in the resurrection, so a good deal of Makki surah is going to be responding to affirming the reality of resurrection, judgment day, Jannah and Jahannam. Makki audience also don't believe in one God. They believe in Allah along with other gods. So Makki Quran is going to respond to Tawheed as well. Makki people are rebelling against their prophet. Makki Quran will give you lots of stories about previous nations who rebelled against their prophet or destroyed. You with me? So you must get the Makki themes going. Good. So it's in Juz Amma, it's talking about the year after. What else about the surah can tell is Makki? The verses. Short verses. Generally, a feature of Makki surahs is shorter verses, more hard-hitting. Madani, more explanatory, longer verses. Okay. So when you know that now, you put yourself in the Makki mindset. We're in an environment of people who are contesting the fact that there's one God. They're contesting the fact that the Prophet is a messenger. They're contesting the fact that there's a year after, there's a resurrection. If I think about our world today, is our world more Makki or more Madani? Makki or Madani? Definitely more Makki. Especially within a minority Muslim country. We definitely in the Makki space. Because people are contesting whether a God exists or even one God exists. People are contesting the idea of Anbiya, of revelation, of resurrection. We're back to where we started. We're not now in a lovely Islamic state that we're discussing the inheritance laws. That's the main discussion of this society. We're not there. The spoils of war, we're in different space. So we're basically Makki Quran. So Makki Quran has a very important role to play within our understanding. So, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إذا السماء انشقت. So, إذا means what? When? So, إذا must tell you two things. The first thing is what tense is it? When is it referring to? Future tense. So, future, إذا is for the future. What's for the past? What's for the past? Past? إذ. Okay, so those might be new second year students, mashallah. إذ without the alif at the end. إذ means when for the past. إذ means when for the past. And إذا means when for the future. For example, if I say, when I was young, what do I say? Not I didn't need anyone. You say إذ. You say إذ. If you say, when I'm going to retire, what do you say? Either. I'm saying when and when. When I was young, when I'm going to retire, I'm saying when and when. But the one when is for the past. If. And the other when is for the future. When you come to if, there's often an implied verb in there, which is udhkur. Udhkur. Udhkur means bring to mind, remember when. But now we're in the future, either. What's the second thing about the either? What am I expecting to come? Like, for example, can I stop the sentence and say, when I'm going to go home? Yes, up there. Yes, up. When I'm going to go home. Not when am I going to go home? When I am going to go home, what am I waiting for?
An answer.
You're waiting for either is a conditional sentence. When something, then something. When something, when I go home, I'll have lunch. You ask me, that's a complete sentence. But when I'm going to go home, not complete sentence. It's incomplete. You're waiting for the completion, the jawab of the shart. You're waiting for the completion of the condition. So when you see any there, you're looking for the two parts of the sentence. Okay. So Bismillah. إذا السماء انشقت. إذا when in the future السماء, what sama? Skies. In Arabic, sama is actually everything above you. So technically the ceiling can be sama. And the ozone layer can be sama. And the galaxy can be sama. And everything above you is going to be sama. Because in skies, heavens, but it's everything above you. When as-sama, the skies, inshaqqat. Inshaqqat is what verb? Okay, now sorry, possibly. For the first years. So we are going to sometimes speak about verbs. Verb 1, verb 2, this verb, that verb. What that means, you will know in the next few weeks, inshallah. So don't stress, inshallah. We'll come listening about verbs. But generally, what happens is that Arabic scales have different verbs, and each of the verbs have a different quality. But the Dawrah students, mashallah, they are really masters of these verbs. So I'm going to ask them now which verb is inshaqqat and what the quality of the verb is. So let them impress you for this moment. We are waiting with bated breath to show you what the future holds. So Bismillah. What verb is inshaqqat and what's the quality of the verb? It's on the seventh verb. In fa'ala. The seventh verb. In fa'ala. No. Seventh verb. Inshaqqa. What's the quality of the verb? It's a
Intransitive.
okay, intransitive is going to be one of the understandings. Yes, intransitive. What else about it?
It won't be a maf'ulun bih,
There won't be
and it
maf'ul
needs a
bih, which
harf.
is it's a thought intransitive. Yes, but what else about it?
It needs a harf.
Harf, not always. You never know. It has a majhul meaning. The qata'a means to be cut. What does in qata'a mean?
It's about
In
each
qata'a,
other.
you with me?
Each other. But
What does in qata'a
Mona.
to be cut? In qata'a means to be cut. So on the seventh verb, it has an intransitive majhul meaning. Which year now? The second year, third year. No, you're third year now, no? You can go through that. I don't have it in front of me, but you can go through quickly. What's the second verb quickly? What's the second verb? Fa'ala yufa'ilu. Intensification, causation, and meaning. And it's the fourth verb. Af'ala yufa'ilu. So you're asked, go through what? In fa'ala yanfa'ilu, infi'alan, munfa'ilun. You don't know the majhul for the seventh verb. The amr is infa'il. In shaqqa, in shaqaqa, yanshaqiqu. But because of the mad, you make in shaqqa. So in shaqaqa, in fa'ala. You see me? In shaqaqa. There's two qafs there of the shadda of the qaf. So in fa'ala, in shaqaqa. There's two qafs. Remember, shadda is always two. Sorry, sorry, I think Zakaria has a cool pen here which I must use just because the syllabus gave me the pen. Use the pen. Now, where do you write something? When the stuff comes up here. No, another thing is. Anybody know? There's a button. Here's a button here. No, this thing works now. The PowerPoint. Right there, so that's how it goes. Oh, I see. Yeah. For writing. Like a normal annotation, like that. Okay, so here we go. So this verb is in fa'ala. In fa'ala. In fa'ala. So shaqqa is going to be what? In shaqqa. In shaqqa. Inshiqaq. Doesn't sound very well. Good. So Arab should really change the word to make it sound good. Because the eloquence is more important than the technical precision. The eloquence of sounding good. So instead of saying inshiqaq, we remove that and put the shadda there. It becomes inshaqqa. Inshaq. So back to the meaning of this word. So the seventh verb, the quality is going to be a majhul. A majhul. I normally just remember it as qata. Qata is the easiest one. Because sometimes like I don't know like about you, but do you remember the moment you heard the word? I don't remember. Because I always remember I was in Syria and there was the internet cafe. I was there. And so the it went off and someone says in qata'at al-khat. In qata'at al-khat. Khat means the line. The line became cut. You with me? So someone remember I say several times remember Syria, that's the cafe there. In qata'a. Oh, okay. That's how I use the seventh verb. Okay. So on the seventh verb is going to be a majhul. So if I say inshiqaq, what do you think the understanding is? It is tearing apart or it is being tearing apart? It's being torn apart. It is being torn apart. So when there's it is being torn apart, it is as if there's no choice in the matter. It's not like Allah is waiting for it to degrade and then start tearing apart. Allah is saying there's going to come a time when the sky is going to be forcibly torn apart. By the use of the seventh part. Then something additional to this word. Is it Maldi or Mudari?
Maldi.
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 Past the future. I know I said it's like 100 times every time, but even though I said you don't see it. You saw it, eh? Did you see it, Noran? Noran sees it. No. Is that it is a Maldi verb. So what I'm saying is that sometimes within just surface translation, you don't see those factors. The fact that it's a Maldi verb for the future is telling you what? It is an absolute, undeniable event. It's as if it happened already. And now why would Allah then use that type of verb usage for a Makki audience? Because it is something which is contested. So something that is contested needs a strong response. So the strong response here is two things. The seventh verb, it is going to be split and torn apart, whether it likes it or not, whether it's ready or not, it's going to happen. And also it gives you also that, a majhul gives you that feeling almost like of an outside party. Like a majhul, like, that implication of the outside party. And the next thing is going to be, it's in the Maldi. The Maldi, and also the Maldi means that it's going to be different. وَأَذِنَتْ لِرَبِّهَا وَحُقَّتْ. And أَذِنَتْ. What does أَذِنَ mean? Which word do you know with أَذِنَ? You know the adhan. What else do you know? The part of your body. It is your Your udhun. Your udhun is your udhun is your ear. So, so again, also when you're looking up a word, also for just in the second year, is that generally when you're studying Arabic, it is always useful to look up the words, even if you know what the word means. Like all of you know the word bait. Right? I know the bait, that's fine. Why must I look up bait? I know what bait means. But then if you know, look up the word bait and see bata, oh, bata means we are spending the night. Oh, that makes sense because I spend the night at home. So you know what I mean? So then it adds more depth, even if you know the word. So even though adina is like a very simple word, it's useful always to look up the words because every layer of ism and fi'l connected to it adds more depth to the word. Otherwise, you're going to be simple on the simple, superficial all the time. Okay, so if you're starting out, you can use Hans Surah. If you want to go a bit deeper, you can get into Lay's lexicon. If you want some more depth in the word. So adina means to listen, to allow, to permit, to be heard, to be informed. We're looking for the first verb, right? Which is adina, which is the first verb. What else language interesting here? Ista'adana means on the isti'adan on the means to seek permission. Even in Arabic means that someone gives you permission for something. Because even is obviously is linked to listening. Like to hear someone who gives you then permission. Your udhun is going to be your ear or the handle of a cup. And so on. But they don't mention it here, but adina, it means to listen and respond, but it also means to listen and respond with like willingness. Are you with me? It means to listen and to respond with willingness, with obedience. Yeah, I don't know. Just rather put on the normal camera. Okay, just put that to the right side. Okay. Well, adinat, and then it, adinat, which is the female. Remember the alif with the hamza is what gender? We gave you 3 signs of the feminine gender. Give me the 3 signs. The marbuta, alif maksura, the ya with no dots, and the alif manduda, which is the alif and the hamza. Remember that from first year. So there's 4 types of feminine. I'm saying this one is feminine signs. There's 3 signs. The marbuta is the most common one, and the ya with no dots, like taqwa and so on, and the alif with the hamza. So Sama is going to be feminine. Therefore, adina, adinat. So is the fa'il for adinat? Hope you don't want to say that. Is the fa'il for adinat? It is the? Where's the fa'il for adinat? Oh, you asked me wrong. Fa'il, where do you find the fa'il? In, left, or inside. In, left, or inside. So where's the fa'il? At the end, you see a ta with a sukoon. First years, second years, what is a ta with a sukoon the fa'il? Who's here from second year? Who is here? Who is here? I must start my brain must remember who was in second year last year. Yeah. Who was in first year last year? Who was second year this year? Online? So the Khadija Sunday? I don't know. I offend people. I think this is the wrong year. I can't remember. Anyway, all of you, is the ta with the sukoon the fa'il? What's ta with the sukoon there for? It's for the? It is for the gender of the verb.
Feminine form.
Excellent. It's for the feminine form. So the ta with the sukoon is there to show you the verb is female. Ta with the sukun is not the fa'il. It will never ever be the fa'il. Okay. So adinat is not the ta with the sukun. So where's the fa'il? Not at the end, is on the left. No, so it's inside. It's what's inside there.
Here.
Yeah,
Here.
she. She means what? It refers to what? The sama. Wa and adinat. ماضي ومضارع. سمعت. ماضي ومضارع. ماضي. You know the story why? Intensification, all of those things. Emphasis. It will respond. As if there's respond already. Like a done deal. وَأَذِنَتْ and it will respond to رَبِّهَا, to its Lord. And the Rabb is generally like a master. Like if you Rabbul Bayt, you're the master of the house. So sometimes what happens is that, sometimes what happens in the Quran is when Allah refers to himself, he can refer to himself obviously in a number of ways. Via a damir, via a attribute, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, all of those things. So when you see Allah's name, then you must think, why did Allah say وَأَذِنَتْ لِرَبِّهَا and أَذِنَتْ لِلَّهِ وَأَذِنَتْ لِلرَّحْمَنِ? So why say لِرَبِّهَا? So Rabb has more that command, power, authority, because something of Qiyamah is coming. And now when Qiyamah comes, it's about the authority of Allah. Because in Makki Quran, there's a challenge to the authority of Allah. With me, there's a challenge. I don't believe there's one God. I don't believe there's a resurrection. Allah is now telling you that the heavens are going to say, Adinat, they're going to, Adin from Uzn, they're going to hear, but means to respond. They're going to hear and respond willingly to Rabbiha, to its Lord. Because the sky is affirming also that Allah is the Lord of the sky. Some people even believe in stuff in the sky. Like moon and stars and sun. People believe in stuff in the sky. You with me? It's common. This is telling you the sky is responding to its own Lord. وَحُقَّتْ. Huqqat means what? Huqqat means what? It's haq means truth, obviously, but haq also means like a right. So huqqat, it's almost like it is a right, it's obligated to respond. Huqqat is obligated to respond. It has been from the word haq. وَإِذَا الْأَرْضُ مُدَّتْ. وَإِذَا. No. وَأَذِنَتْ and it responds willingly لِرَبِّهَا to its Lord. وَحُقَّتْ and it, the sky is obligated, duty bound to respond. Meaning what? It will be done. It will be done. وَإِذَا الْأَرْضُ مُدَّتْ. وَإِذَا and إِذَا, another condition. Al-ardu, the earth. Earth, male or female? Female. What type of female? Team feminine. See, first, second years, you can see all the stuff last year, still here all the time. That's why we do it first year. This comes all the time. Ardu is female. Muddat. Muddat from the word madda. What does madda mean? What word? When you come to a new word, always think about what words you know already with the two letters. So what word do you know already? No, mad. What's a mad? It's a letter that is pulled. Like isn't a mad. Is a mad. Depending on 2, 4, 6, all the stuff. Okay. So mad is something which is stretched or extended or pulled. So muddat here is what? What are the what? What is the what verb?
Is it Madi Majhul of the first?
the Maldi Mashhur of the first part. So muddat means to be full, to be stretched, to be extended. So what's going to happen again, Qiyamah? The sky above you is going to be ripped and torn apart. And when we say the sky is going to be torn apart, there's also this idea of what? Of cosmic chaos. Cosmic chaos is that all the orbits stop. Everything just like disintegrates, disperses, and dies. That's the idea of this, of what's happening above. What's happening to the earth is the idea of madda. So what do you think it actually means for the earth? What's going to happen? What happens if you switch a page out? Not there. The earth already has tears in it. The concept of giving a page out is like a. So, example. So if you have here's all the. So this guy can keep all the vibes here on the first page. So you just keep the vibes. Of all the pages, you put the vibes first. You just get the sign, you must put the vibes. Okay. So what you do is that say you have the earth, right? The earth is like this at the moment. It has like looks like this. It has like mountains and it has like valleys, all of these things. So when the earth is mudda, what happens to the earth? It flattens. So the idea of mudda is a number of meanings in the tafsir. The first way of mudda is going to be it flattens. So there's no creases in the earth, no elevations or declinations in the earth. No, it's all going to be completely a flat plane. That will be part of that same process. I'll come to that inshallah. So this is going to be the first thing is that the earth is going to be stretched and flattened, meaning what? Mountains will disappear and valleys will disappear, and the plain will become completely flat. The second thing about also is that the idea is that if I have something, but if I have something in a declination and I flatten it, what happens to that thing? The idea of it's coming to the surface. And what's included in the muddat is that the earth will expel whatever is in its surface, including what? People. The people will be, because remember when you come and resurrected, when they're resurrected here in Mount View, the mountain, everything, resurrected into a flat plane. In other words, the earth, the part of the muddat is that the earth will going to expel people. What else does it expel?
People
what
as
else does the earth expel besides people? Allah, what does it expel besides people? Everything that is buried, but there's something specific that's buried that people really, all of those things, all the gold, minerals, diamonds, all of those things will actually be expelled at the end. And they will lie there because that is what people actually gave their life for. And the lie, what is the use of this shiny stuff in the school and the rocks that you were chasing your whole life for? It will be expelled. Because that's like the essence of all the material wealth people are looking for is stuff. And most of the stuff comes from the ground. All be expelled. In terms of this ikhtilaf on the Fasirun, whether it's going to be a replacement earth or the same earth, but the idea is that generally this happens after when the skulls are rolled up and the skulls are unrolled again. And then the earth is basically flat. There's some discussion in Tafsir also. These are obviously speculative. The exact how is not known. So some might ask the question, does the ball become flat? And the flat earthers are finally right. Because they'll argue that, those are beyond the realm of definitive knowledge. Because you're speaking about the unseen world in the unseen time, what can you really say about it? You can't make an analogy from now to then because nothing is the same then. Nothing, there's no point. Sometimes, obviously, people go into all of these things, but I think that for me, it's always best to stick to, when it comes to unseen, I prefer to stick to the wording, and then any other consequential possibilities are maybe. Like maybe the earth will be flat. I don't know. It's a maybe. I don't know. I was in the roll of the whole earth like a skill and unroll it. Who knows what it is like really? Besides why the outcome would that. So it's always better to be conservative, restrictive in your tafsir of the unseen in definitive sense. Because sometimes you want to plug in a lot of like scientific stuff that may or may not make sense, but they're just always conservative about it. Wa al-qat. Wa and al-qat, maldi. All is actually all maldi. Al-qat. What's al-qat mean? Al-qat. Cast, throw. Al-qa, yulqi, to throw. Wa al-qat. The female, a female verb. Al-qat. She, the earth, she will throw out. That's the verb. The fa'il is the here inside referring to the earth. And what is the ma? The ma is the maf'ul bih. It will cast, the earth will cast out what? That which is fiha. In it, in her, in this earth, of human bodies, of precious things, all will be cast out. What takhallat? What takhallat? What takhallat mean? So we go back to our root letters. What the root letters? Khala. Sorry, it's khala wa, yes, right. Khala wa. Have you ever heard the word? Okay, listen to the word. The verb is khala yakhlu. Khala yakhlu means to be empty, to be desolate, to be vacant. In some words you might have heard before, is you might have heard the word whatever the khalwa. Khalwa is what? Khalwa is what? Khalwa means to be alone. Khalwa means to be alone. There's actually a Sufi group called the Khalwatis. You can Google them, the Khalwatis. You know, each spiritual group has different practices. Some make loud dhikr, some stand, some sit, some do everything. They're all different paths. So the Khalwatis path is that they have the path of seclusion. So if you go to a Khalwa dhikr, so literally, I mean, literally, it's almost like if you go for a few days, it's like little chambers. So they go to little chambers and they're alone, and then they just come together for salah because Jama'ah salah is sunnah. They come to salah, but they don't speak to each other, and they go back into the chamber again. So it's like a proper super etikaf, like a cave. It's like a no, they don't live like this. I'm saying this is their spiritual practice. Like they rejuvenate like that. Instead of going to a big dhikr or a mawlud or something, they will go into khalwa now, but they all come together. They come to khalwa, but it's different rooms and stuff, and they come together and they make salah together. They go back into there. They go back into the rooms alone. But also, think you can. There's different benefit to isolation. Our sunnah is not isolation. Our sunnah and withdrawal, because within withdrawal of what's around you, there's connection to the what is beyond. Because what's around you is always attaching to you, and the withdrawal there is a benefit to that. And I remember the Mizan camps. It was amazing for all the camps. One of the favorite activities when we asked the brothers to go and sit alone for an hour. Just in nature, over a lake, on a mountain, no phone, no nothing, and sit for an hour. So many of the feedback forms says that was the most. And the camp is cool. I mean, we do like dhikr, we do like team building and sports, and we eat liquor and everything. But you can ask them, what was the highlight? The highlight was, I was alone for the first time in 10 years. Like alone, like reflect, like, you know what I mean? Alone in reflection. And I think that our souls are deprived of it. Like definitely our soul, I think we have hyper-stimulated minds. Monkey minds. Always like jumping all the time. I remind myself as well, we need to have also some khalwa. So that's the meaning of khalwa. There's also something called Baytul Khala, the house of aloneness. The toilet. So the Baytul Khala is the toilet. Because sometimes when your parents are studying around time, you will get even then. But there's also an Arabic, Baytul Khala is the bathroom from the idea of being alone. Now. وأذنت لربها وحقت وإذا الأرض مدت وألقت ما فيها وتخلت. وتخلت means what? It means to become empty. It has cast everything out, وتخلت, and the earth becomes empty. Was that your Bible? Fifth, what's it called? Fifth verb? Not my fifth, seventh is much more. Fifth is what? Could be, but not in this case. It's what? Causation to itself. The khallat, it empties, it makes itself empty. Easy one to remember is Allah. Allah means to teach, the Allah means to teach yourself, means to learn. Okay, always use like an easy one to remember. The khallat, it empties itself. وَأَذِنَتْ, and it, the earth, أَذِنَتْ, it responds. It hears and it obeys لِرَبِّهَا, to its Lord. وَحُقَّتْ, and it is obliged to obey. Now this kind of repetition, like if you read in Salah, you read in Quran, it has an effect on the heart. Because the earth obeys and submits. The skies obey and submit. It has a, so in other words, you don't always look at the Quran just from a rational perspective. Like repetition there is sometimes for an emotional reason. It's an emotion, like, why don't I say it again? Say it for an emotional reason, to move you in the recitation. Inshallah, if you haven't memorize inshallah, your homework, you do very few verses every week. Try to memorize these verses. They are very powerful verses. Ya ayyuhal insan. No. No. In Fatrat, Kitab. No, the sound of it is actually this surah is revealed after Kitab. Inshiqaq is after Kitab, but they're very similar, almost like a twin surah. Some scholars have this idea of surah pairs. They'll pair those two as a pair, but it's not. No. Ya ayyuhal insan. Ya ayyuha means what? Oh, like oh you. But remember, ya, you can say ya, we can say ya ayyuha. Ya, what's the difference between two? What's the difference? Quran looks like default. Don't remember? Ya walad, ya ayyuhal walad. Ya ayyuhal kafirun. Ya kafirun. Both منادي.
Oh, mankind.
MashaAllah. Ya is a much more intimate address. Like close. Like ya walad. Our son. Ya ayyuha is a very formal address. A formal address can be used for two things. Number one, it's a very formal setting. Like it's a formal address, you're addressing old people, like it's more formal. Or it can be to great distance. Like ya kafir, ya ayyuhal kafir. Ya ayyuha means like oh you, like it's a more formal address. So Allah is making this a very formal announcement, but also there's an idea of distance, because in formality there's distance. In closeness there is less formality. You with me? So there's a very formal dress, and especially it's obviously all human beings, but the message will be different to kafir, mushrikun versus Muslim. For mushrikun is about telling them the truth and saying that you're getting it wrong. For believers, it's about a reminder. It's about a reminder. So there's different audiences within the insan. Ya ayyuhal insan, oh human beings, oh people. Innaka. Inna, what's inna mean? Indeed. Ka, innaka, indeed, you. The generic you, the generic human being. Innaka. And the inna has a ism inna and a khabar inna, and second is good inshallah. Inna has a ism inna and a khabar inna. The ka is the ism inna and the khabar inna is kadihun. What does kadihun mean? No. So kadaha literally means to exert yourself, to wear yourself out for some purpose. Like you have a job and you're toiling hard, that's kadihun. What type of word is kadihun? Ism or fi'l or harf? Ism, what type of ism is it? Ism fa'il, kadih, fatih, talib. So Allah is saying that, oh human beings, innaka, verily you, your life is a life of toil. Your life is a life of toil, of exertion, of wearing yourself out. If you look at the Buddhists, you don't follow them, but I was interested to read about them. There are four truths. What's the first truth? First truth is life is suffering. There's also some similarities. That life is suffering. So even another faith is telling you that life is kadih. Life is like hard work. It's toil. No, that's the Jannah. Jannah is Jannah and life is life. Work is hard, parenting is hard. Even now, adulting is also hard. Do you know what adulting means? Huh? Old people don't, at least now they know what adulting means. What adultery, man? Adulting. Adulting means to be an adult. So all over social media, the adults complain about being adults. Or they will say, today I'm adulting, I'm being an adult today. It's a strange time here. The grown men walk around with small baby dogs. It's so weird. It's okay to have pets, but I mean, you have children in the family. You have a little dog for your family. It's like a weird. And the reason people do that is because they want to run away from this idea of responsibility. It's hard life, hard. I don't know responsibility. I have a little dog. I'm caring for the pet or something. It's actually like, if you look at it properly, it's actually like a weird. It's actually like a weird. It's like a natural thing. You don't take a pet as like a child replacement. Animal, and child. You can only look after your pets well and stuff, but the maqam of the dog is very high. And it's like you must almost like see the weirdness sometimes. You know, the point I want to make is innaka, verily you are kadihun. You are struggling, you are toiling, you are wearing yourself out. And obviously, if you are a person of the dunya, you're wearing yourself out of the dunya. And if you're a person of the akhirah, you can also wear yourself out of the akhirah. You can work and make kadih for the akhirah also. You wear yourself out, it's not like a negative thing. But the point is what? You are kadihun ila rabbika. That's the point. You are wearing and toiling yourself ila rabbika. But ila rabbika is actually like a strange thing to put in there. Because normally when you say you are wearing yourself, you're expecting a time. Like you're saying, innaka kadihun ila al-maut. You're going to wear yourself out until when? Till you're finished. So normally you would expect Allah to put a time there. But Allah doesn't put a time there. Why? Because the maut is the meeting of Allah. You with me? Instead of saying the obvious thing like you are wearing yourself out until you're going to die, You're going to wearing yourself out till you're going to die, and your death is on Allah's meeting. That wrong that you are denying now, your moment of death, you're going to see that wrong. You're going to see those angels. You're going to see the qadr of Allah Ta'ala. You with me? So you carry on ila rabbika, because there's no escape to the meeting of Allah. And the meeting, and again here, the idea of Rabb here is the idea of power and authority. Then mulaqihi. Then mulaqi means what? Meet. Mulaqihi, mulaqi, and then mulaqi actually means you will be the meters of him. Ism fa'il. No. So but it means but in the meaning of the mulaqi, you will be the meters of him, you will meet him. And this is going to be there's some ikhtilaf about where the jawab of this idha is. Where's the jawab of the idha? When the earth is split, when the skies are split, when the earth is stretched. Where's the then? So what's implied? The idea, so most ulama will say that the meeting is implied in that you are going to be kadihun, you're going to be struggling, you are going to be toiling until you die and meet Allah Ta'ala, and at that point is going to be like when the heavens are split. You not your own death here in terms of Qiyamah. Obviously, when you don't meet Allah's judgment directly when you die. You meet him when you stand accountable before Allah Ta'ala on the day of Qiyamah. So that's going to be for most of the ulama, is going to be the jawab. Some ulama say no, the jawab is that when all of this happens, then people will get the books in the right and the left. So if you laugh about when the jawab, but it's going to be very similar meaning in terms of that is the time when people will meet Allah Ta'ala, and that is the time when people will get the judgment when إِذَا السَّمَاءُ انشَقَّتْ. So that's going to be the first section of the surah. The first 6 verses is the first section of the surah. From verse number 7, we start a new section. Why is different sections? Because in this section here, it is the precursor to the actual judgment. You with me? That's cosmic phenomena that's going to happen as a precursor to the actual judgment. From verse number 7 is going to be the beginning of the actual judgment. So inshallah, revise these verses, try to memorize these 6 verses, read them in Salah this week, even in the verse number 6. Inshallah, it will really, Quran is different when you read Quran on your own, when you read aloud. So make it part of your weekly life, inshallah. Before you go, let me just give you a homework. Did I give you handouts, printouts of Mr. Yusuf? Okay, so what I'd like to do is I'd like you to take the whole chapter, just the first page. The first page. And what I'd like you to do is translate it. You will find that you will actually do better than you think you can do. Okay, so just take the first page and attempt the translation, use dictionary user, and even if you're not sure, just put what your attempt translation was. Okay, of the first page, so that we can mark it in class for next week, inshallah. Let me just go through it. كان يوسف ولدا صغيرا وكان له 11 أخا. Know those words there. وكان يوسف غلاما جميلا. Know the words there. You don't know? Look it up yourself. Awesome. وكان يوسف غلاما ذكيا. ذكي means to be intelligent. وكان أبوه يعقوب يحبه أكثر من جميع إخوته. إخوة you know is the plural of أخ. ذات ليلة. Look up ذات you find it. رأى يوسف رؤيا عجيبة. رأى 11 كوكبا ورأى الشمس والقمر كل يسجد له. You've done Surah Yusuf, you know most of those words. Inshallah. تعجب يوسف الصغير كثيرا وما فهم هذه الرؤيا كيف تشرق الكواكب والشمس والقمر لرجلين. So basically you know all of this and the ayah comes at the end there. So all of these words you know, translate for Allah, inshallah. May Allah bless and protect. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sorry, unanswered, you'll say the page too, inshallah.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. جزاك الله.
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله وبركاته. مولانا جزاك الله خير.